Good evening and a warm welcome to Weekend Dialogue. Tonight, I'm going to talk to Samira Cook-Gaines. She serves as the Chief of Civil Rights and Economic Empowerment for the National Community Reinvestment Coalition, and she has a strong background on women entrepreneurship, empowerment, youth empowerment, and she's in Sri Lanka under the speaker program of the U.S. Embassy in Colombo. If I give you a background about Samira, she was the founding director of the Washington, D.C. Women's Business Center. A warm welcome to Art Studios, and I'm pleased to have you here.
Thank you, Indeed.
Thank you. Now she's also, she has a background in women's empowerment, I did mention, and her entrepreneurship work has taken her to several countries as a speaker specialist for the U.S. State Department in Europe, the Middle East, and the Pacific Islands. I think we'll have a lot of, much of your work to discuss before we talk about entrepreneurship and your focal areas. Tell us a little about how you come to work about women entrepreneurship, empowerment for women, talking about youth empowerment, and developing women leadership.
Absolutely. Well, I believe that my focus, my interest is very natural. I went to a college in my undergraduate years. It was Mount Holyoke College, and it is a women's college in the U.S., the first women's college in the U.S. We really, as students there, we really came into our own knowing and understanding of what we were passionate about, and Mount Holyoke really encouraged that. So it really kind of ignited the fire in me for standing for women, for understanding the challenges, but understanding all of the valuable skills and knowledge that women had to give to the world. So in moving forward in my career and in my life, it was a natural focus.
So how do you begin?
So for me, small business started personally. It started with me making small sales when I was a child, little candies at school. It moved on to actually real estate. Once I understood the value, once I understood the power of owning your own assets, and it really helps to create your own wealth. So I started very young in real estate with buying and owning and renting, and that was my first strong business that brought, profit outside of the candies in school. My very first business that really made me think, not only can I do this at the age of 25, but I can help others do this too.
How does the Washington, D.C. Women's Business Center come into being, and what was your involvement as the founding director? How far have you all gone with your work there?
Well, the Washington, D.C. Women's Business Center is just my pride and joy. We have a really dynamic team. We currently have a director there now, Candace Miles, who leads a great team in helping women learn how to start businesses, helping women who are already in business to understand how to grow, look for new market opportunities, look for financing opportunities. The Washington, D.C. Women's Business Center is hosted by a national nonprofit. That's the National Community Reinvestment Coalition. And the U.S. government is really the seed partner there. So the funding for the Women's Business Center, the startup funding comes from the U.S. government. There are a little over 100 women's business centers across the nation. So the Small Business Administration, which is our government agency in charge of supporting small businesses, is very serious about women-owned businesses in the U.S. Currently, women are starting businesses at a higher rate than men, and women of color in the U.S. are starting businesses at twice the rate of men. So our U.S. government is very smart for investing in our women's business centers and moving.
Now, you've been here in Sri Lanka for just over a couple of days, and you're here as part of the speaker program of the U.S. Embassy in Colombo. Your work, you conducted several trainings here. What is your overall impression about Sri Lanka and the level of focus we have for women entrepreneurship, as well as empowering women as a nation towards reaching our developing goals?
Well, absolutely. My time here has been way too short, but in the time here, I have been able to talk with university students and women who are starting businesses and growing businesses. And what I've seen here is that on both levels, entrepreneurship for youth, and youth for me would be between the ages of 18 and 35. And entrepreneurship for women is lacking. The training, the focus, the interest is lacking, it seems, on a national level. However, women are natural entrepreneurs. There's always something that we are doing. We may not recognize it as full businesses. Several women have small catering businesses.
Right.
I met a number of women who create handmade cards. And the challenge for them seems to be risk-taking and not having a culture that encourages risk-taking. I believe that entrepreneurs are the problem solvers of our world. And to only have half of the population interested in solving those problems is it's not a benefit for the country. So engaging the women and giving them the proper understanding of business. They do not lack for ideas, they do not lack for creativity, but they do lack when it comes to the fear of what business holds, or just not knowing whether or not they'll be successful. We've also talked a lot about that fear and whether or not the fear is real.
Right.
So that's, I see those as the biggest challenges.
You did mention about engaging women. I'd like to touch on that. What challenges do you see in Sri Lanka's context? You did talk about the culture here in Sri Lanka for engaging women. Going forward, what challenges do you see for Sri Lanka to create that culture among the society to engage more women in business?
Well, one example, I believe, would be the language, how we talk about entrepreneurship, how we talk about women's work. So I was told that women are day workers, like they will do something for the day or will sell something for the day. And that was talked about in a way that was somewhat negative. And for me, I think that that's a wonderful thing, that women are all dabbling in entrepreneurship. The idea that these day workers or these very brief business entrepreneurial stints, I see that as testing the market, figuring out if you have customers. And I think the next step is just the need to understand the formal business. So there's a want, there's a desire, simply because women are taking these small steps in day working. I think the negative connotation of the unsophistication of the business transactions that women have is a problem. And I think if we talk about it as if they were burgeoning businesses and emerging entrepreneurs, it would be a different conversation.
I've been running through your profile a little,
Sure.
You have had extensive, experience in the public service too, as in dealing with them. If you talk about the Sri Lankan public service, we do have a large number of women representation too. However, in terms of moving to the managerial level, although we have a lot of women representation in strong positions, the encouragement is, again, a lagging area, as you did mention. How do you think we could inculcate this culture into the public service, especially because as Sri Lanka is currently looking at improving the public service, creating efficiency, productivity in the delivery of service? What do you think we need to do?
Well, I think to bring the next generation of women leaders, we need the current generation to be a little bit more involved in the mentorship of women. I really think that career advancement and just interest in public service comes in three ways. The first level would be professional development. That's simple training, that's getting your degree. The next level would be mentorship. And mentorship for me is simply someone taking their own personal experience and offering it to you as advice for your own benefit, career benefit, life benefit. There is a third level that is very rare, and it is finding a female advocate for you. And an advocate is someone who will speak your name. When you're the only woman in an office room or the only woman in a boardroom, do you speak about other women or do you simply hold your position? So if I said Indy is an amazing journalist, that doesn't take away from who I am, but it definitely lends my credibility to you. So I think we need to really focus on those three levels: professional development, that's simple training and education; mentorship, that's simple guiding; and then the groundbreaking activities of advocates, people who will speak your name and lend their own history, credibility, and wisdom just because they said, this is a woman that you should talk to, this is a woman that knows her stuff.
Let's compare Sri Lanka a little to peer nations in developing state who are also trying to work hard to gain GDP growth as Sri Lanka is, and who have actually had the same level of growth but surpassed Sri Lanka at a certain time period. How do you look at those regional countries compared to this island?
Well, I definitely believe that the solution is activating all smart, intelligent, creative people in the country. That includes the youth, that includes women, that includes men. So I believe the countries who really have started to understand that that is the secret, that's the way that you get your country moving forward. The secret to GDP growth is getting everyone involved, making sure everyone at all levels are educated. Because there is, there's a young boy in a rural area who may be the next Bill Gates of Sri Lanka. But until the education system gets to him, until the exposure gets to him, until the mentorship gets to him, he's just a little boy in a rural area in Sri Lanka. So really thinking about moving all people in the country forward, that's the secret to that GDP growth and, advancing past your peers.
Right. Education, empowerment, and exposure is what you really focus on and what you stress that we need to focus on.
Absolutely.
In terms of achieving the economic growth that we envision. Finally, I think it's time we wrap up, but finally, before we go, I'd like you to speak a little about a few words that you'd like to give our audience, the Weekend Dialogue audience, and how you think you would like to work with Sri Lanka in future, going forward, and what experience you would like to give the women here.
Okay. Well, going forward, I definitely want to give accolades to the U.S. Embassy for the work that they've been doing here. I know that there's a trade show coming up for small businesses, November 16th and 17th. That's Global Entrepreneurship Week. I also know that they are focused on youth empowerment, and they have youth empowerment grants to give to organizations here in Sri Lanka to form partnerships and really increase the entrepreneurship interest and the development. The message I would give to the women of Sri Lanka is that you are every bit of intelligent, every bit of beautiful, and every bit of wise as any other woman in this world. Business is a natural inclination, and business is definitely something that is in their blood. So I say try and fail, and try and fail, and try again.
When you talk about try, fail, try again, in the U.S., the U.S. encourages a lot of startups, regardless of how many fail annually. But still, there's a lot of encouragement and also interest among youth to start up businesses.
We don't see failure as a problem. We see failure as a step along the path to success.
Right.
So the more you fail, the quicker you fail, the more you learn, and the faster you get to success. I really think that that is a lesson from the States that could really be helpful for folks who are thinking about starting businesses, or there's someone out there right now who's struggling.
Right.
There's someone out there right now thinking that this failure is going to be the end of me. But the truth is, you can just start again. Take calculated risks, and the failure doesn't have to be anything but a lesson learned.
So on that note, it's time we wrap up. Thank you very much, Samira, for joining us
Absolutely.
here.
Thank you so much, Indeewari.
We have with us Samira Cook-Gaines. She serves as the Chief of Civil Rights and Economic Empowerment for the National Community Reinvestment Coalition, the founding director of the Washington, D.C. Women's Business Center, and she was in Sri Lanka as part of the speaker program of the U.S. Embassy in Colombo. After this break, we'll be back with more on Biz Roundup. Do stay with us.